Episode 87, Try for a Truce.
Stamps on work that catches his eye. Hard work is what he needs to see. Enthusiastic's how you need to be. Respect is his golden rule. Organized to be the best in school. Sycamore teachers teach the kids new things. Sycamore comes out at night, stamping super work that students do right. If you want Super Sycamore to notice you, don't be discouraged when something is hard to do. Work hard and be excited. Show respect and organize until the top. You will rise.
As you might remember, earlier this year, the Digital Deviant sent Super Sycamore to the Upside Down and finally got to defeat his brother and live his dream of ruling SCE. But when it actually happened, it ended up being, kind of boring. In fact, it was so boring that we saw the vile villain, who also happens to be Super Sycamore's brother Sam, have a holiday change of heart and zap Super Sycamore back to Sycamore Creek Elementary. Not only that, but the Digital Deviant also left our hero some new socks and a card as a gift. And now, the Digital Deviant is all kinds of confused. He found that doing something good feels so much better than doing something villainous. He doesn't understand it. He had thought that once he proved to his brother and the world that he was better, he would finally feel happy. But he doesn't. In fact, he's slowly starting to realize that being a villain doesn't bring happiness. The way to feel good is by being a hero. But now, what is he supposed to do? He spent years terrorizing, plotting, and scheming against his brother. Maybe it's time for a change. Wait, what if he and his brother could team up and finally become the super brother duo that his family had always hoped for? Well, it's worth a shot. Meanwhile, we find our heroes stamping super work around the school, like the preschool rainbow. Those kids sure are bright. All around the pod, our second graders made posters detailing the different parts of the digestive system. It sounds like they ate up a lot of learning. As that's happening, the Digital Deviant has started trying to make up for his poor behavior by helping out around the building. He definitely appears out of practice. Inspired by his brother, he also leaves some Starburst treats for others to enjoy. And he leaves some out for Super Sycamore to find and savor. Mrs. Stone's first graders created some opinion writing about Cinderella. Super Sycamore's opinion? He's impressed. In speaking of fairy tales, he feels like Hansel and Gretel as he follows a trail of starbursts that lead to the pile that his brother left for him. As tempted as he is to eat one, After being poisoned several times, Super Sycamore has learned to never eat mysterious treats piled up for him. Nice try, Sam.
Why worship legends when you know that you can join?
Instead, Super Sycamore continues passing out super stamps, this time to the Bigfoot Cinderella writings that Mrs. Nichols' first graders made. Is it math? Is it art? It's both. That's pretty amazing, Charlie. Meanwhile, the digital deviant knows that Super Sycamore's workload is pretty heavy, so he decides to try to lighten it by helping him stamp. Unfortunately, a giant purple blob is what we got. Super Sycamore notices it and infers that the digital deviant is trying to ruin Super work. Typical villain. No worries, he just stamps over it. Then he's back to stamping some preschool's insects and caterpillars that spell their names. Gotcha. We're proud that Sycamore Creek Elementary is no place for hate.
Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing.
Some of our third graders designed some solar, wind, and hydro-powered cars. These could be the cars of the future. As Super Sycamore learns from some research by third graders, Pickerington has a fascinating history. Meanwhile, as a peace offering, the digital deviant tries to bless his brother by doing the laundry for him. After the fabrics have been washed, the permanents have been pressed, and the delicates have been rinsed, it's time to fold. But as he holds them up, the digital deviant notices they weren't this small before. He might have a problem. He's pretty sure Super Sycamore is grown, and these clothes are not anymore. Maybe Super Sycamore wears a size medium? He meant well, but now he has to hide the evidence. So, laundry isn't his strong suit, but he's pretty sure he can at least help our custodians by vacuuming for them. It's nice how quiet they make vacuums nowadays. You can't even tell they're on. Yep. In the meantime, the third graders have been learning about different people groups who have immigrated to America, and they made timelines about it. Mr. Henneman and Mrs. Spencer's students also researched different African countries and learned about their heritages. Know who became published authors? Miss Skillum's third grade class, that's who. They wrote a book that explored how the city of Pickerington has changed over time. That's one great read. Mrs. Fannon's fourth graders learned about the American Revolution and how propaganda played a part in events such as with the Boston Massacre. And Mrs. Mosley's fourth graders wrote letters to King George from the perspective of different American colonists. These 3D egg pictures from kindergartners in Miss Curl's class are excellent. So none of the subtle ways to show Super Sycamore that the digital deviant has changed are working. Perhaps he should just try talking to him, man to man. Super Sycamore is a reasonable superhero, right? Hey, wait, Super Sycamore. If you just listen for a moment, it's nothing nefarious, nothing devious, nothing bad. Actually, it's something quite good. But our hero doesn't trust him. And can you blame him? What he's seen is villainous. So why would this be any different? He doesn't know that his brother's heart has shifted. Well, this isn't going the way it's supposed to. The digital deviant is trying to figure out a way to get his brother to listen. Maybe if he trapped him in a room. Not in a mean way, just so he could explain himself. It sounds devious, but it might be the only way. So he programs the microwave with a transport device. Super Sycamore will be hungry after a full day of stamping, and when he gets his food, he'll be zapped into a secluded room at SCE, and he'll have no choice but to talk to the digital deviant. Sure enough, later that evening, Super Sycamore finishes super stamping and goes to get some grub. When he uses the microwave, gone. Meanwhile, the digital deviant is waiting with nervous anticipation. He's rehearsing in his mind what he wants to say to his brother, and he's picturing how happy Super Sycamore will be when he hears it. But when Super Sycamore zaps in, he has the same response. He doesn't trust his brother, and he's furious. Again with the trapping? The digital deviant tries to explain himself that he means no harm, but Super Sycamore won't hear it. By now, even the digital deviant is getting frustrated. Why won't his brother just let him explain? At this point, we seem to have a stubborn standoff. Who will break first? Will Super Sycamore choose to listen? Will the digital deviant decide it's not worth the effort and instead choose to be bad again? What does the future hold for these battling brothers?